Because I knew she was cheating, my fiancée told me she did it with her ex. I made her look bad in front of everyone at our wedding. There are people who don't want their story shared here, but when we have one, we have one. We have to. Both the lurkers and the ops can teach you a lot. I'm at op today because I have strong doubts about the woman who will soon be my wife. I need your help to figure out if I'm not thinking things through too much. I'm 32 years old and have been seeing my fiancée, who is 30 years old, for over 8 years now. I met her while walking around campus with my younger brother, who was looking at places he might go to. She was a senior in college at the time. She was wearing a Hosier t-shirt, and I had to talk to her because I loved his music so much. It began as a comment, but I really hoped she'd get me more interested, and she did. For some reason, my brother had to stand off to the side while I talked to a strange girl. This made him mad, but to keep him from having to worry, I got her number, and we kept going on the trip. For your records. At the time, I had already graduated from college 2 years before, so I wasn't trying to pick up college girls like a creep. Anyway, after that we talked a lot and quickly started going out on dates because she seemed like the perfect partner in every way. I asked her to marry me on her birthday a year ago because she's always said she doesn't mind having a lot of happy events at once. Of course, she and I were both thrilled by it. That she said yes to me. I didn't ask her to marry me until after a long time, because she always made it clear that she wanted to be financially comfortable before she thought about getting married. After a long time, it did seem like the right time since she had a job and a place of her own. We've been busy planning a wedding, which is a huge pain, but I think we agree on a lot of things and have a great wedding manager, so everything is going great for us. I can't wait for the wedding to be over because of all the stress that comes with it. It's only 5 weeks away. When that day comes, I'll make sure to enjoy it as much as I can. Anyway, that's enough about that. I believe I first became aware that something was wrong with my fiancée about 2 weeks ago. There were times when I thought she was being sneaky, like when I asked her, "Are you okay?" I noticed that her mood had changed, and she would answer in a strange way, asking, "What makes you think I'm not okay?" However, not in a fierce way. I started to think that the stress of the wedding was getting to her, but every time I tried to talk to her about it, she said there was no problem at all. But I also began to notice that she was acting in a strange way. When I walked into a room she was in out of the blue, she would often jerk or stutter, like she was in the middle of doing something. I also saw that she started to be very careful with her phone. She must not have thought it was very clear, but she could only leave her phone with me for 1 minute at a time. I thought it was strange that it would always follow her around. She might say she needs to get something from the car downstairs, rush out the door, and then rush back in to get her phone. That's just for quick tasks that take her 2 or 3 minutes. Being honest, I've known her for a very long time. I thought it was really strange. While she was lying next to me, I just barely saw a message from a friend named Alex appear on her phone. This made me think that something very bad might have been going on. It took her less than a second to swipe it away, and she looked up at me after 5 seconds. She tried to act like she was just staring at me out of the blue. But I think she really wanted me to see what she did. I mean, I might be thinking too much about this, but I've always been reasonable, and I'd rather think too much and be wrong than not think at all. The only Alex I know who is related to my fiancée is the one she used to date. Yes, Alex was her ex. Even though it might not have been the same one, I was pretty sure it was him because of how quickly she deleted the message. Alex couldn't be anyone else because she would act that way. During our first year together, she told me everything about this guy. Since they broke up a year before we met, she had been seeing him since she was 19. She seemed to be crazy about him back then, not just interested in him. I knew he was a jerk, but she told me all about him anyway. She just couldn't stay away from him. That was likely because she was dating him for the first time. He wasn't physically violent or anything like that, but he was a real jerk who never answered her calls. It seems like she thought he cheated on her a lot, but she was too young, stupid, and in love at the time to see the signs. She came to the decision after the fact. Basically, he seemed to be there for the benefits that a young, hormonally active man looks for in a woman. This is what I thought, but I never told her. She said she loved him a lot, but she didn't seem to care much about him after they broke up. Taking into account everything I know about this Alex guy, it seems odd that she might be talking to him behind my back. The whole time we've been together, she's been loud, especially when guys talk to her while she's at work, the grocery store, or something else. I don't know anything about it, but it seems strange that she might be talking to Alex all the time now. But I didn't think she would tell me the truth. I needed to know more. I would never know the truth if I asked her because she could lie and hide the proof. That's why I should jump in and try to find the truth on my own first. I knew I needed to check her phone, but I haven't had the chance yet. I asked her for her phone to check something out without a reason, saying that my phone isn't close. The thing is, I don't normally do that, so I think she might start to wonder what's wrong with me. At one point, she caught me holding her phone. She was gone for a short time, so I thought I could check what I needed to check. But she came back in less than 30 seconds. She didn't say anything, but she looked at me funny. Since then, getting into Fort Knox has been easier than getting her phone. She now puts it under her pillow while she sleeps, which is something she has never done before. Many thoughts have been going through my mind, and I even considered giving my fiancée drugs so I could look at her phone. I swear it was just a thought, and I never do things like that, but I don't think I'll be able to catch her with her phone locked, which makes me very suspicious of what she might be up to. To get to the bottom of things, I might have to talk to her and hope she tells me the truth. If I tell her I know enough, she might tell me the truth. I only know for sure that she's talking to someone named Alex, and that she seems to be trying to hide something from me. But maybe that's all I need to know. Please help me by telling me how I can talk to her in a way that might get her to tell me the truth, or any tricks I can use to get into her phone long enough to confirm or dispel my fears. Thanks, everyone. Change. I see that most people agree that the way things stand now, I won't be able to look through her phone at all. At least until she makes a big mistake, which I can't wait for. So I think the best thing to do is to talk to her and trust my gut to tell if she's telling the truth. When I'm about to get married to this person, if I think she's not telling the truth, I might decide it's best to just tuck tail and leave, even though I won't know for sure or get closure. Still, I believe I could handle that. Okay, I guess. I'll let you all know if I actually have any luck. You should talk to her about your worries and see if she can give you the comfort you need. That could be all the solutions you need if she doesn't want to talk or if you don't like what she says. Sometimes the questions you want to know aren't about what's on her phone, but about how healthy and open your relationship is as a whole. At the end of the day, this talk should help you figure out if you and your partner still agree on your plans for the future, or if it's time to change your minds. Change 1. Oh wow. I have more to say about the story I came to tell a week ago. A quick review. There's a chance that my fiancée has been cheating on me, or at least talking to an old flame behind my back. Since she wasn't letting me look through her phone, I decided to talk to her about it. There was something strange about the way she was guarding it. This is the second post I've really been thinking about how I could get into her phone since the first one. Even though I knew I was going to ask her, I didn't. The results of her own decisions while you enjoyed the view from your newfound freedom. The best thing about that day was that everyone got to know her better. Next time, let's hope it's a good woman walking toward you and not a liar. Best of luck, Op. What do you think about Op's plan? Let us know what you think in the space below. Thanks for being here with us today on our space. Want to make sure you don't miss our next video? Like, subscribe, and click the bell icon. Until the next time. Think she would tell me the truth. But I think it was starting to really bother my mood to the point where she noticed something was wrong. Since she was the one who made it worse, I wasn't exactly a sweetheart to her. Even though I wasn't a jerk, it was clear that something was wrong, and I think she thought I was to blame. I was shocked when she came up to me yesterday and said she needed to talk to me about something very important. At first, I thought she was trying to figure out what was wrong with me or why I was feeling down. But when she sat down next to me, there was a long, awkward silence that made me realize this was going to be very different. I still didn't really understand what was going on. I need to talk to you about something very important, honey. As soon as I heard that, my heart started beating fast because I was sure that what she was going to say would make me feel bad. I told her I remembered her ex-boyfriend Alex when she asked. I also said, he was a real jerk, wasn't he? I did this to make sure I wasn't thinking about the wrong person. At this point, I could smell that she might have been trying to fix things accidentally, but the fact that she brought it up on her own still surprised me. But I was still really interested in seeing where she would take things. We have been talking for a while now. I believe it began when I shared the pictures of my proposal. Right after he came to congratulate me, we began to catch up. To be clear, I asked her to marry me almost a year ago. What she really meant was that they had been talking for almost a year, and she hadn't thought she could tell me until now. The worst part was that I had a feeling she was only admitting because she thought I knew something. After that, she didn't say anything for a long time, so I sat with her and enjoyed the quiet. I didn't say anything to keep her from having to deal with it. I was interested in what she was going to say. We found a place to meet up and catch up. We were only there to catch up and talk about what our lives have been like over the last 10 years. He already knew I was going to marry him, so I thought everything would be fine. When that happened, I knew it was going to be a big surprise. I understood that as much as I wanted to shut her up until that point, I didn't want the mental pain that came with it. At this point, she began to cry a little, and I remember having a strange feeling in my chest. It wasn't sadness, I think it was more worry or panic, because hearing her cry made my worst fears come true. I felt like she should have talked more, but she didn't. I had a lot of questions. I asked her for the first time what happened. It all started with one thing, and then I slept with him. After that, she broke down in tears. I had a tiny bit of sympathy in my chest, but it went away quickly. She had her head in her hands and I couldn't help but stare at her. I felt very disgusted. Not only did I want to satisfy my curiosity, but I also wanted to make her go through the pain at that moment. So I began to ask her every question that was on my mind. When did this happen? It's been 3 weeks. How many times has it had this happen? Once. I promise. Did you protect yourself? After a pause, she said yes. Did you hit him? More tears. Did you like it through the tears? Are you done? I didn't hear back. At this point, she was crying. She was also knocked to the ground. I just left her there and locked myself in the bedroom to be alone with my thoughts, which were very bad at the time. She came to politely knock on the door and kept calling. I could hear her saying sorry over and over again while she was crying, but I didn't want to hear her, so I told her to leave. Thanks goodness she did. But what do you know? I finally know what I'm going to do, which is why I'm here. I've given it a lot of thought. And even though I know this marriage is over, I'm going to make a show of it. I need to make sure she knows that could have been the worst thing she ever did. For real, I want her to be in real pain and shame. I'm going to go ahead with the wedding. At least make it look like that. I would never marry someone like her, though. A cold shower can sometimes be all someone needs to fall apart like a building. Opie, all you had to do was take a step back and let her show you her flaws. It seemed like the farther away you were, the more her deeds and guilt did the work. People are the worst enemies they have, and the choices they make can destroy them. That's a brave move to plan to make a show out of the wedding, but I'm all for it. Change 2. It's finally done, and my goodness, it was amazing. To be honest, my ex-fiancée was the love of my life, and I always wanted the best for her before I started seeing Alex. I would do anything to make sure she could grow, enjoy life, and be happy. I am shocked, though, at how easy it was for me to lash out at her and not feel anything. She only had to cheat on me with her ex-boyfriend and hide the fact that she was talking to him. For 1 whole year. She must have slept with him more than once, but she was trying to fix things. I'm getting off track, though. On the day of the wedding, I told all of my men the news. At the end of the wedding, I told them that there wouldn't be a marriage and that my fiancée had cheated on me with her ex. As you might expect, they were all mad. I didn't hold back at the bachelor party because I knew I was done. I wasn't going to waste a night where I could have a great time with a woman who was already having a good time. Still, it was a great night. There was something off about it because I knew it wasn't a real bachelor party, because I stopped thinking of it as a real wedding since my last post. Anyway, the day came, and I was standing next to the preacher when she and her father walked down the aisle. I have to say that she looked beautiful. I wish I could have seen her walk down the aisle as a good woman instead of a cheater, but that's just how things are. I did my best to keep a face that didn't show anything when she got up. They might have done a worse job than I did. When the minister asked if anyone had any complaints, there was quiet, which I expected. But as soon as I saw him open his mouth, I raised my hand and said that I did. As I stared at my fiancée, her face turned as pale as a ghost. I heard whispers among the guests. It's funny to think about now. I told her right away that she had cheated on me with her ex-boyfriend Alex not long before. I told him that she had been seeing him for a long time but hadn't told me about it. I told her I didn't believe her when she said she had used protection with him. In front of the guests, I told them I would get tested. I told her I was sure they had slept together a lot more times than the one mistake she told me about. She was just frozen there next to me the whole time. The crowd was going crazy, and I could see that her dad was very angry, though I think it was more at me. Everyone knew I couldn't be with a slut. I'm going to talk less from now on. I'm not to blame for this. She's to blame. There it was. The last thing I said before leaving. A lot of people tried to stop me, but I ignored them all until I got into one of my groomsmen's cars. To be honest, I felt so good when it was over, and around that time my phone kept ringing. I also got a lot of text messages, but I didn't answer any of them. Even though it cost a lot of money, she got what she wanted in the end, and I was glad I could also have my way with a wedding. The next day I got a lot of texts from people who understood how I felt, apologized for her, asked me to try again, and insulted her. I was just happy that I could make a scene and make her the center of it. I felt pretty damn good about being able to make her look bad in front of almost everyone important to her. I've been called by her many times, but I haven't answered any of them. I was clear from the start that I wasn't going to take her back, which helps. I think all of you should do the same thing. Never let someone cheat on you. It's not worth it at all. Good words, Op. I totally agree with you. You also made a day that was supposed to be a party for joy into a place where she could be shamed in public. It was like you held up a mirror for her and showed her,